Good evening. This is Monday, May 6, 2024. Welcome to the Victoria Centre Astro Cafe. I figure I should put that on because now, many more people are watching on YouTube than actually live. We're getting such good pickup from recording this. So let's do some thanks all around. So very much to Joe for making sure that our Astro Cafes are made available. And I really wonder whether it's what proportion is Victoria Centre that's watching us and how much is people looking around.
Well, I could break out the demographics if you want.
That would be interesting.
YouTube gives you everything.
Oh, well, we should do that. You should do a report before the end. Okay, I want to thank the hosts and techs. And so today it's Alex, and we already have people filled in for the rest of our series. So we have just next week, the following week is Victoria Day, so we're off, and then the end of May is the very, very, very last for this season. And then I have to thank, but also apologize to Kathy because I keep spelling her name incorrectly. And I don't mean to. It's Kathy with an I-E. But
thank you.
You're very, very...
K or a C?
With a K, that's also important. You probably hated it if it's a C, don't you?
No, it's just my name, Kathy. I don't Kathy or whatever. It's just written. Yeah.
Okay, I have some general topics. I want to talk about podcasts and videos and the GA and Nathan's book launch and the UVic meeting on Wednesday. And Chris Gainor has a couple of items, and Dave Payne, I've convinced him to do another beautiful picture. Is there anything else? Well, then let's talk about podcasts. What brings us up is, I don't know their last names, but Chris and Shane, who do the actual astronomy podcast, did a live one at the GA, and that was fun. So we actually got to see their faces and their last names. They never have their last name on the, when you go in Spotify or whatever to see actual astronomy. But they're excellent. And recently, Peter Jedicke did a super show on globular clusters. Did anybody else hear that one? Nope. Anyway, I wrote him and said, we'd love that for Astro Cafe. And he said, sure, but I'm in Europe until June. So he'll do that in the autumn. But do other people have, how do you get your astronomy content outside of the Astro Cafe? Nobody pays any attention out there?
Well, I don't want to say I read in other countries' magazines, but I look at BBC Sky at Night a lot. I kind of subscribe to them.
What's it like?
I like it, actually. It's a different flavor of astronomy from North America. I don't even know how to describe it. It's kind of more folksy, I guess. Like the people in the UK, I guess they don't really expect a lot because of the weather that they have. So they kind of, they relish the times when they can really see well, but they don't focus on the bad stuff that's there because it's really not that good for them.
Yeah, that's
but they've had a couple of really nice master classes. They had a astrophotography master class about almost 6 months ago, and they're currently running a planetary one. So anybody who's interested in planetary, it's kind of a good series. I think Damien Peach is doing the next one, so
like
worth watching.
YouTube stream sort of thing.
It's a pay. They have a paywall. I think it's like $70 for 3 of the seminars. So they're on to the second one pretty soon in another week.
That's great. Anybody else?
Well, you know, when I was looking at that show last night, which I'm not really familiar with, but you know, I went into it in the YouTube and I see that they have all our recent shows available on YouTube. So I presume you can, you know, if you hadn't seen them before because you'd gone on Spotify or something, you could see you could see the previous shows they've done, because there's a whole bunch there on YouTube.
Oh, are you talking about actual astronomy?
Well, what was that show called that was on last night? Saturday Night Astronomy or something?
Or is it Astronomy at the Bay or by the Bay? Or
yeah, Astronomy by the Bay. Yeah.
By the Bay.
I'm just guessing.
Or Lori will know. Lori just came on.
Sorry. I'm yeah, the Astronomy by the Bay has been on now for 2.5 years or so, and they've probably done, I don't know, like 100 episodes, something like that. Yeah.
And they're on YouTube. So
yeah.
So I was a little surprised when Randy said, "Oh, I'd never seen them before." It's pretty easy to see them if you want. So
you know, I've chosen a couple.
Well, just they're on Sunday, like they're on a Sunday night in the East Coast, which means they're kind of 4 o'clock on a Sunday our time, right? Which is, you know, a bit. I mean, like if you're watching them live, then it's not quite at the best. However, everything is on YouTube. They've worked really hard to make that work. Yeah.
And what
Yeah. But the other one was the actual astronomy show, right? The other one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So.
And
there were 2 of them.
What bay is the Bay?
Fundy. They're in New Brunswick.
They're in New Brunswick. Yeah. So 3 guys.
Oh, yeah, I know about that one. I didn't know what it was called. And does anybody follow any of the various Fraser Cain?
Yeah, I do.
Which one?
I can't remember the name of it, but gee, the main one that he does, is it Universe Today or something like that? Or
yeah,
that one he does video.
Yeah.
And then on podcast he does, what's it called? Is it just called the Astronomy Podcast? Anyway, that one's been going for like 15 years.
Mm.
And it's with he plays the kind of the interviewer to, oh my goodness, can I remember her name?
Right. What's her name?
Somebody who's got their internet going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I do more listening to them than watching the YouTubes. So, and they've talked about all aspects of astronomy, and they've been really very good at that. And what about Dr. Becky? Are there any followers of Dr. Becky?
On occasion.
She's awesome. I think a lot of you don't consume the astronomy this way, which is fine.
I think there's a real problem with podcasts. They're noisy and they piss off your wife.
That's what headphones are for.
Yeah. So that's the problem. So I read spacedaily.com.
Spacedaily.com.
Yeah. And it emails a link to me every day. It's really good. It's free. And that has stuff right up to date, like breaking news all the time. And not just space, like launching rockets, a lot of astrophysics stuff in there as well. It's wonderful, all the stuff we have out there.
Oh, that's so good, yes.
I found the other name, Randy. Pamela Gay, Dr. Pamela Gay, of course.
Pamela Gay, yeah.
Yeah.
and nice deep dives into a subject every week. And they're at, I don't know, episode 10,000 or something. It's
He's Vancouver Island.
yeah, Fraser Cain is just up island. And I gather they make it sound like it's just the two of them, but I gather he's got a whole staff. Like he's a business. He's doing very well.
He's doing so well, I asked him to speak.
Oh yeah.
It's hard.
Watch one of my,
That was the pitch, yes.
yeah. For how much money? I guess they can watch him for free, but I guess if he came in person, if he'd even consider it, it would have probably been expensive.
What is his business that he's making money on?
Well, I don't know how he makes money. Like they ask for support, but they always say it's not for them; it's for hiring the staff. So,
The Praetorian.
It might be Patreon.
Probably Patreon.
yeah.
They usually use.
So if you join Google News and you say one of your preferences is astronomy,
That's what I use.
yeah, they'll give you stuff from everywhere, like little bite-sized contributions of like on a single topic, and I find that gives you a whole bunch of heads up, and it's right up to date.
How much of it is true?
Oh, you got to sort it out for yourself.
Well, you could probably believe the NASA site and space.com and a few places like that. But yeah, there's.
We are talking the internet, right?
Pardon me?
I said we were talking about the internet.
Yeah.
The uncurated internet.
It's a big subject.
Yeah.
And the astronomy photo of a day is actually really, really good.
Yeah.
Quite the range.
Or
From space station, from pictures taken from space telescopes to amateurs,
And the big thing with them is follow the links because there's lots of stuff.
yeah.
Lots of rabbit holes you can dive down.
for
Backyard is pretty
astrophotographers.
interesting too.
Sorry, Michael? What did you say?
Sorry, say
Okay, Dave, you said something.
Yeah, I interrupted Michael, so I'm feeling bad. The Astrophotography channel on YouTube, if you're interested in that,
Right, of course.
it is highly entertaining. They've got some of the talks don't have anything to do with astrophotography. They all have something to do with astronomy, but they're just a group of guys, and they have guest speakers every Sunday night.
Some of them are named Dave Payne.
Yeah, I was on there once, but I rarely, they broadcast live. I rarely see it live. I usually pick some other time, and because you can go back over old episodes, but.
Well, very good. Thank you. There were some things that I wrote down there. And I hope, especially since, as I said, we're going into a drought, we're going to take. Oh, no, I want to ask Jim Hesser where he gets his Astro News. Are you on, Jim?
No, Jim's not on.
Yes, I am on.
Is it? Oh, where are you?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't see you here.
I haven't lost that much weight.
Oh, there you are. You're at the top.
So, Jim, how do you get your Astro News?
By watching Astro Cafe.
Best show out there, right?
But how can you believe it's true?
Yeah, there's.
I quite enjoyed watching the weekend programming from the RASC, which is extremely interesting and well done.
I think that's our segue. Who would like to talk about what they saw and learned this weekend? Also, we want to have a bit of a behind the scenes. How was it for you, Lori?
Oh, it was fine. I mean, I think Jenna did just a fabulous job of coordinating, all the stuff online. And I said, well, Jenna, do you have a plan B if you crash? And she said, no. So, so I mean, she was on the whole time and took maybe 10 minutes of break, and that was just about it, in the day. So she was really coordinating all of that from the back, like from the back end of that part. And so, I mean, she had lots of people who could have probably jumped in if she'd needed to, but the actual technology part was all being done completely by her. So kudos, because that's a lot of, work at just that, keeping everybody going. What was really good was people did stay on time. Like, it was amazing. There was nobody that they had to kind of, we had to cut off, because they were too long or anything like that, which sometimes happens, right? Like, they just will just continue to go on and on and on, and be like me. And they, so everybody kept to it. So that was really good. Yeah. I don't think as many people use GatherTown this year. That was not as
yeah, there weren't that many people there.
As well attended as in other years. So it might have run its course. We'll see. Yeah.
What was your role, Lori?
Cheerleader.
Oh,
I noted, I was dying to ask, so what's the help bit? Because I noticed you had that and a few other.
Oh,
yeah, you haven't renamed yourself.
Yeah, she asked me. Well, she was just more or less during the actual programming. She said for 2 or 3 of us to put the word help beside it, so that if any new people wanted any other information, like, you can just like email, like just chat and go in the chat and kind of ask anything. And then during the times that I was in GatherTown, if there's anybody that was having trouble in GatherTown, I could just, but in fact, everybody that was there like seemed to know what was going on. I didn't have anybody that I needed to catch, as they fell through the interspace or whatever it was. Anyway, yeah. So I was basically there. I mean, I was on the committee, on the back end of the committee, but things actually were. It was actually much easier this year. Because we didn't have as many people. We didn't have as many speakers. And I mean, if you think about 2 years ago, we had 3 strands going on at the same time. Last year, we had 2 strands going on at the same time. And this year, we only had 1. So it did make a difference. So as for just the simplicity of the programming, it was a little bit easier. Yeah. But I think next year, I think people have put on that, yes, it is Jenna that kind of does the stuff online and puts everything on there and knows what's going on with all the technical stuff. Because whereas before there used to be a couple of people in the office that could do it. Jenna's really the only person who can kind of do the website stuff and get all that going. But we would like to have a little bit of a bigger team behind her that kind of gets everything ready and then hands it to her, and that she can just she can download everything and get it. I think that she ended up doing quite a lot of the stuff this year, just for a variety of reasons. But
I have a recommendation. Don't hold it right after a major astronomical event.
Why not?
Okay.
It has been rather crazy, yeah. Well, they wanted to separate the AGM and the GA, like out. And last year, with the past 2 years, we've had it in kind of that May time. So we just kept it there. So
it makes a lot of sense, but I know that you guys focus so much
on the eclipse.
The eclipse.
Yeah, and then you had to kind of just all of a sudden, as soon as that was finished, we were just head on into the, yeah. So I don't think that will happen next year. So, but if anybody is interested in helping out and just you know, we can get started fairly early, getting speakers and getting things organized and not letting it go as late as it did this year. So everybody's welcome to help.
But I'm going to say, if you want to comment back on it, I like the singles, you know, just the single stream, and then you just
Yes.
drop in and out as you wanted to hear. So I thought that was really, and then I didn't have to think about, okay, well, I want to do both of those, but I can only do
yeah.
Well, you put Nathan and me together at the same time last year.
I know. Well, that that was crazy.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to see Nathan.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that was a disaster. Anyway, but not for either of you, but just like 4 people to be wanting to figure that out. Yeah. No, I think you're right. You're right, Chris. It was easier on everybody only having the one stream. I guess, I mean, we were trying to do what we would normally have done had we had a regular GA, is you have workshops going on and people, you know, go into whatever they want to and, you know, and go and see what they're interested in. And we tried to do that online, but it was pretty tricky to do it online. So, but all feedback welcome.
Most of it.
What were your impressions?
I liked it. I thought it was really good. I'm trying to think what was on Saturday now, because I can kind of remember what was yesterday now.
Well, tell us about yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I was quite amazed about John Reed's presentation, for example.
Oh, right.
And this thought of, you know, finding out that there's an area that looks like it's the best in Greater Halifax, and finding out there's a property for sale and going out and buying it, you know, like
I know.
I was thinking, could you imagine if we could even think about doing something like that here? But, you know, that kind of boggled the mind. And then looking at their plans for that site. I mean,
actually having a home for David Lane's observatory was really nice.
That's really good.
They have a place to move Abbey Ridge.
Abbey Ridge, that will be the new Abbey Ridge.
The new Abbey Ridge,
yeah.
And then other stuff.
Yeah, they've got so many plans. I mean, the plans are looking amazing. So,
I mean, it's going to take years, but sounds like he's on it. So, I mean, he's
well, he's already doing his master's degree full time. Like,
actually, he's a PhD, I believe. I think he got his master's. I think that's what brought him to Canada.
The PhD. Oh, I say, he's doing. Okay, well, whatever. I don't know how he's ever ready, Bunny. You know, energy.
Yeah, I don't know how he has so much time to write books and make appearances.
They were doing, he and Jenna were doing a lot of those presentations early on.
They were,
yes,
they were.
Yeah.
And they were waiting any day the birth, this is John, I mean, of their 3rd child. So, I mean, they've also got 3 children in this man. Energetic, I guess.
Yeah.
The labor force.
Yeah, there you are. Yeah,
so to speak.
Yeah.
Well, I remember for a long time before we started talking to the NRC, we talked about, you know, buying or begging or borrowing or stealing a property somewhere. And, you know, and if we hadn't have done that deal with the NRC, I suspect we would still be talking about it. You know, like Halifax is kind of a that's kind of a different area. You know, there's so much like scrub there, you know, that that I think it is a bit more feasible to find land, whereas here it's usually much more of it is useful for various things, and of course everybody and their dog wants to live here, so you know, so unless somebody wins the lottery or something like that, you know.
And there's property taxes, right? I mean, we couldn't even afford to run the place.
And the municipal development
Yeah.
rules and permits.
Yeah, no, not going to happen here.
Completely different than when you're in.
Well, it's like you know, I belong to the amateur radio club, and they looked like they had a nibble on renting a piece of property, But then when they started doing the math, I think the person wanted $500 a month. And that's quite a lot of money when you start.
Yeah.
You think in perpetuity, you're paying at least $500 a month to keep this facility going. Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's just not happening here anyways. But yeah, thank goodness for NRC.
David Lee, are you able to play the video of the observatory? This discussion, it's making me think,
I can.
Toronto has a house and a whole bunch of platforms and everything. Like they really have a beautiful
that was a
facility.
legacy donation, but yes.
Wow.
They put a lot of money and effort into it.
It's something.
It's called the car observatory.
Oh, but not related.
No.
It's also about at least 100 miles away from Toronto.
Yeah. So
maybe even further. It's closer to Collingwood than Toronto, I think.
Oh boy.
My name is David Lee, and I'm a member of RASC Victoria Centre, and this is our observatory tour.
For many years, members of the Victoria Centre of the RASC had talked about building our own observatory, but suitable land was hard to find and very expensive. So in 2004, our centre formed a committee to work on creating an observatory for the Victoria Centre. The committee began negotiations with the National Research Council of Canada, which operates the Dominion Astrophysical Observatory, to make it possible for us to create an observatory near the DAO on Observatory Hill. After we reached an agreement with the NRC in 2007, construction began on the Victoria Centre Observatory. The observatory opened the following year in 2008.
There was even time for some members to pursue scientific research in deep sky imaging, while Michel Michaud imaged double stars in the Pleiades cluster using equipment at the VCO. Michel used a workflow that analyzed data collected using a digital SLR. This resulted in the addition of 5 double stars being added to the Washington Double Star Catalog with his identifier, MCD. In total, he made over 1,400 measurements. The VCO was also used for deep sky imaging. Dan Posey and Matt Watson spent numerous hours imaging objects like M45 and M63. They were both instrumental in the installation of future telescope configurations. As the second decade for the observatory approached, there was an opportunity for the observatory to replace some aging equipment. An RC scope was determined to improve on what we had, so we purchased the TPO 16-inch RC. Unfortunately, replacing aging equipment proved a bigger challenge than we envisioned. Good focus was difficult to achieve, and then the pandemic was declared, so progress slowed down. With a lifetime warranty, the telescope was returned for refund. At the observatory, a string of donations and acquisitions would follow, and an integration and repair phase began. Due to the pandemic, this took a number of years. In the end, we had a large telescope, the OGS 12.5-inch, with a suitable imager, a QHY 600PH, with both LRGB and narrowband filters. Teamed with a Takahashi 130 refractor for both visual and wide field imaging on our trusty Paramount ME mount. A donated 20-inch obsession complete with high-quality eyepieces was augmented with Argo Navis digital setting circles. This has proved to produce amazing visual views.
The Victoria Centre Observatory has been such a treasure for our community. I have had several really wonderful experiences up there. And the best thing about it is the whole group of people getting excited by whatever we're looking at, whether it's a globular cluster or for when I'm up there and there's a good moon, getting other people interested in the moon. One of the opportunities that we have is, whereas I usually work with my 6-inch telescope up at the center, I get to either work with our amazing Takahashi refractor on a perfect mount that I could actually hang from. So it is stable. We can really push up the magnification like I've never been able to do at home. Or with our 20-inch obsession, what a treat to be able to take a look at the moon, see the contrast of the features right across the disk of the moon. There are things you can do with that equipment that you just can't do with the sort of equipment that one has at home.
Hi, my name is Kirsten Peterson, and I joined RASC Victoria in September of 2023. And the VCO provided me with my first opportunity as a new observer to see the surface of the moon through a telescope, the Takahashi. It was like floating just above the moon's surface, looking down. The detail was so great. I also got to see Saturn for the first time up there on the 12-inch Dob, and it was really awesome.
There it is.
Great job, David.
So
Thank
honestly, David, how many hours work went into those
you don't want to be billed.
Oh, I know that was a lot of work. And it's a beautiful portrait of our club. That's great.
Well, like I said, a big warning, a lot of nostalgia there. There's a younger me there. And I can't believe that so much time has passed.
Yeah.
Anything else to say about the GA?
Oh, I wanted to say one of the things that I really enjoyed was the fellow Mark Tovey who did the poetry section. It was so interesting. Like it almost dovetailed with Charles Ennis's work with asterisms, where he's digging really deep into history about how people viewed the sky. Well, Mark, I think he discovered this woman. What do you remember her name, Lori?
I think Wellman. I think it was Wellman.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Anyways, she kept a diary of kind of astronomy kind of things, and it always was accompanied by poetry. And Mark was saying how it was so insightful reading the poetry and trying to figure out what they were talking about. So it was also in this reboot in his book, he's taken stuff from her writings and he's paired them with kind of like public domain imagery. So there'll be like old plates and things like that. And he said he was absolutely entranced by trying to interpret these old images and as to what they might be referring to. So there'll be things like constellation shapes and things like that, which seem kind of bizarre or out of context. But when you look back through the history, there's a whole story behind it. And I found that really fascinating.
Yeah, he did the book. If you don't know the Peter Jedicke of the from London, found the notes, like the diary that she had read, and she had left it in the observatory in London at Western University because she worked there, and it had never been published because it was finished in about 19 like 41, like they're 30, like 1940, like just at the beginning of the war. And Peter Jedicke found it as he was cleaning out some stuff. He found this manuscript, and he immediately phoned Mark Toby and said, "You've got to see this." And Mark just took this on with a vengeance and has been working on it for a couple of years to get this book of poetry and art together. And it's all done as for every week of the year. So the 52 weeks of the year. So he starts in January, he goes all the way through to December, and the poems are all connected to something about the seasons or the time of year, or when you would see a constellation up, then that's when he would put it in. And so it's very well done. He's a passionate literary figure himself. So
is Mark a writer or historian?
Yes.
Okay.
But he's
adjunct professor of history at Western. So he lives
in
London.
Okay.
Yeah, and also looks after the observatory in London. So.
And he did his PhD, I think, was it at Carleton or Ottawa? Something like that. Ottawa.
Yeah, he worked there too. Yeah. Kirsten's got her hand up.
Go for it, Kirsten.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I attended the, I guess, the majority of the Saturday sessions of the AGM, and I found that the session called Actual Astronomy Live, that was done, I guess, Chris Beckett and Shane Ludke, probably saying that wrong, but I found that really interesting because they were really not exclusively talking about the certificate programs or the observing programs from RASC National, but they did talk quite a lot about them and the history of them and the development of them and a lot of the goals associated with those. And so I just really, as a new member, and I think there was, at the beginning, there was about 10 of us that had joined within the past year that were there. I just found that whole contextual discussion actually really quite interesting, and a lot of the commentary that they had about that. So I just wanted to pass that on. And then also just lastly, just Randy, your talk and Bill's talk, you know, the Q days, that was really awesome. Just referencing the Explore the Moon program, and just really enjoyed both of your talks a lot. They were really, really interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say too, thanks, Randy. And you were, pulled out, and so was and so was Bill. Is Bill on tonight, or is he still?
Bill's right
I just
on
showed
the other
up.
side.
Okay, thank you, Bill. I think that you had the best quote of the day when you said, "People had a month to do this." You said. Because I had only asked him about a week before, so it was rather, yes. Anyway, you guys did a fabulous job, and I had lots of people say that was really great. They enjoyed it very much.
And Bill, thank you for persisting with the technology.
Oh yeah,
I would not have wanted to be in your shoes.
I was doing exactly the things that I did with you when we practiced. So I have a feeling that it was my interconnecting with the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Certainly
you guys did a great job of flipping between, technology that wasn't quite working and everything like that. So it was great.
Doing Zoom with Wi-Fi can be really tricky. And I noticed Mark was cutting out a bit during his talk. I don't know if you noticed his nearly froze up a few times.
Yeah.
And you really need a wired connection or really fast Wi-Fi. We're lucky in this room because we're using a lot of Wi-Fi and it seems to work.
Yeah.
That's another reason for coming here. It's not just the cookies.
Yeah.
It's also good Wi-Fi.
Well, I have good Wi-Fi. That's why I moved. But there's a booster in the room that I'm in right now. And so it's smooth right now. But my son's PC behind me is plugged right into the booster. And I have a feeling that it is drawing bandwidth because the tube is only so big, right? For things to go down. And I'm sure that computer is doing stuff right now. So I have a feeling that's what it was, so that when I tried to share, I could see the wheel of death just going around in circles, right? And I thought, oh gosh. And then I couldn't tell, because that's the thing I hate about, like right now, I can see that I'm doing something. But with one screen, you have no idea what's going on the other side.
Yeah.
So.
And I was texting David and I was texting Jenna and going, do something.
Well, we were ready with plan B. I actually had Zenfolio on my second screen, and I was just going to get you to narrate the stuff that's on Zenfolio.
Yeah,
but I see you had other stuff prepared though.
Yeah, I was. I had a whole folder that was just ready. So
no, you did. I would have
Loved
just
it.
vanished, but you did well. Thank you.
So excited seeing.
Okay.
I was committed.
You're.
I said I would do it despite my best wishes of not wanting to do it, and so I had to do it.
Your maps of Mars, I just can't imagine it.
Yeah.
How many have you seen other people doing hand-drawn maps of Mars?
I've seen a couple representations. They sort of, everybody chooses their own style. It was difficult merging. It was nice that all my drawings are to the same scale, so I didn't have to play with that at all. But I had to lay out 12 different circles to make them all create a line, because it all depended on when it was as to the orientation of them. And then, stenciling over top, and then stenciling again so that then I could do the color.
That's a lot of work.
I had this palette. I couldn't find the piece of paper where I'd taken, it was probably about 20 different pencil crayons. And so I had it all figured out what colors I needed to put together to make a color, kind of like a color wheel, but more abstract. That was weird. I liked that when I did it 2 years ago, where I just chose 9 different representations that actually, if you scroll through them, you get the Mars.
Great. Thanks to everybody for coming and joining in at various times. That was great.
And do you know how long till we'll be able to see the recordings for those of us who had a busy weekend?
When Jenna gets them all up.
Okay.
I would say give her 2 or 3 days. Yeah.
Okay.
Before she probably gets all of that done. Yeah. I think she may have taken today off. Bless her heart. Yes.
Okay.
Chris Gainor has something.
Yes. Well, now I'm wondering, Chris, while you're talking about your things, can you also talk about Nathan's book launch and the UVic meeting on Wednesday? Can you take those items?
Well, okay, yeah. I was going to talk. I actually don't know much about Nathan's book launch. I believe it's at Bolin Books at 7 p.m. on Tuesday.
Yeah, and, you have to fill out a form to get in. The tickets are free, but
I put the link in the invitation for tonight, but it's just Google Bolin's Books, and I don't know. Is it going to fill up?
I don't know. I would imagine it will.
Space is limited, right? I mean, they don't have a huge space.
Nathan would not say space is limited.
No, that's true.
I signed up for a ticket about an hour ago, so.
Yeah.
And they're still there, right? Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I
come to Astro Cafe one of the next couple of times with a bunch of books.
I've had the chance to read the book, and I just think it's tremendous. It's just, and you know, um, I don't know how somebody that age could do something like that, but it's just I mean it's a great book even if he'd have written it at my age. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make that, but yeah, I urge everybody to get a book and I think we will have some other opportunities to do that besides tomorrow night if you can't make it tomorrow.
Yeah,
And,
he'll be up at the center of the universe on May the 18th, and he'll be selling his books up
on
at the
Astronomy
Star
Day,
Party.
yeah.
Yeah.
right.
But not at the museum. He's not allowed
Right.
to do that at the museum, but he can up at the center of the universe.
So
Yeah.
if you go to Bolin Books, it's under events. So if you don't see it, it won't be on the top page. It was for a while, but it's under events, and that's where you get the tickets.
And it takes you through the payment gateway, but there is no charge. It's kind of uses
Correct.
their ordering system. So
yeah.
And of course, Nathan is one of the speakers at on May 18th at the museum.
That's right.
Yes.
So it's Bob McDonald is interviewing him, right?
correct.
At Bolin's, yes.
That's pretty spiff.
Wow.
So yes, Wednesday night. So Wednesday is going to be our last monthly meeting until the fall, and it has turned into a little bit of a saga. First of all, I want to thank Kirsten for all the work she did. Kind of from a very, from a standing start, arranging to get our speaker, Dennis Crabtree. And Dennis has been just doing great historical work on the plaskets and all that, which we saw, a few years ago. We had a Casca meeting in Victoria, and Dennis generated or inspired a lot of content at that meeting, historical content. So I'm looking forward to that event. Now, I mentioned things are becoming a bit of a saga. So as you know, there's there are some protests going on at universities, and that includes UVic. And I was not very amused to pick up the paper on Friday and see that there were a number of security measures being taken, including, closing, locking every building on the campus at 5 p.m. So that wasn't the highlight of my day. So I've been asking Alex about that, and I know he's checking into that. Now, the next day, there was some further coverage of that event in the paper, and the indication I got was that they kind of backed off from locking everything up, but we should expect kind of, as they say, enhanced security measures. So there may be a lot of doors that might be unlocked will probably be locked, and I know Alex says, well, he can get into the Elliott building, and I imagine I think right now we should be good, but we may just have to be a bit more patient because I guess with the security people are always looking for worst case scenarios, no matter who is being inconvenienced by their measures to combat those worst case scenarios. But I'm hopeful that won't be a problem on Wednesday, and I don't know if Alex wants to say anything, but
Okay. If someone arrives before 7 p.m. to the bar right, you can go in. After 7 p.m., they say they're going to close the doors. But I will have a fob with me just in case. So I can get into the building.
okay. Yeah, well, that might be a little bit of an issue because the meeting starts at 7:30, right? So
Well, we'll have to be at the door.
So someone
Yeah.
has to be door to let the other people in.
Now, in theory, I have a fob as well. I don't know if mine still works, but I can find that out.
And I guess which door should we say? The one closest to the ring road in the parking lot?
The ring road door.
Yeah.
Ring road, or if you park in lot B, that main entrance, that should be open.
Yeah.
Isn't
Okay.
it parking lot 1?
Well, whatever the parking lot outside the ring road is called.
Yeah. Yeah.
The one with the greenhouse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also lot B.
Which is on the inside of Ring Road.
Yeah, the one that used to have that food services place is back to being a parking lot, so you can park there at night too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, actually, because of the time of year, there might be a decent amount of parking there. But well, I think what we're saying is that the door kind of closest to the library is not necessarily where we're going to have somebody. It's going to be the one facing the ring road.
Yeah.
Right.
That would be the best idea.
Yeah.
And if somebody were to record it and get it onto the YouTube, there are some of us who would be really appreciative.
Yeah. So this is
recording won't be a problem, but I noticed that RASC National had advertised it to join for the event, but I can't broadcast live to YouTube.
No.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, they did that, and I think it would be fine if we just got a recording and in the fullness of time got it up on
within a day or two, right?
On the website. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was I was actually contacted by Peter Broughton, who is, of course, wrote the book about Plaskett and is quite interested in that. And so if anybody else contacts, yeah. Anyway, that was kind of an interesting thing because we discovered while we were there that some of the links on our website weren't working, but Joe has fixed them up for us, and yeah. But yeah, I think it'll be good if we got that recorded, and for a whole lot of reasons, and the world won't fall in if we don't have it on Wednesday night. Those of us who have other things to do on Wednesday night will appreciate it, I think. So okay, so that's Wednesday night. A couple of other items. Just after our last meeting, I discovered that the Hubble Space Telescope had gone down because of their gyros being on the fritz again. They have, just to quickly summarize what the situation is that they have 6 gyros which they use to so that it knows where it is, and while the Webb telescope uses little thrusters, Hubble does not. It uses what's the term? I've forgotten it. Anyway, they need those gyros to so that they know which direction they're going. They use momentum wheels. That's the term I was thinking of. But they need the gyros, and 3 of them have failed. Yeah, and it's been 15 years now since the last repair mission went up to Hubble. So it's actually remarkable that it's still going. But the 4th one is periodically conking out, and it did so a year or 2 ago, and then it did it again in late March. But by the end of the week, they had that gyroscope working again. So Hubble is back to normal operations. But when they will lose, unless something else goes on it first, they will lose that fourth gyro. They will be able to continue scientific operations with 2 gyros and even 1 gyro, but they will be more limited with those. So anyway, this is sort of the big health problem that we're looking at on Hubble.
I heard there was another repair mission being scoped.
Well, there has been a study commissioned, although a lot of that discussion was more on deorbiting Hubble when the time comes, because they're afraid if they just let it fall to Earth at random, which would be roughly about 10 years from now, that it could hit somebody on the head. And excuse me, we recently had a situation where actually somebody was hit by a piece of space debris just in the last month or so. That I think I forget where it was from, but anyway. And Hubble is as big as a school bus. So I thought the talk about a mission was more about either putting it into a higher orbit where it won't bother people for a few decades, or having a controlled reentry. And I know there are people, who who hope, well, maybe we could do more than that. Prolong Hubble's life. I think that's rather doubtful, because there's budget cuts across NASA right now because of some of the other developments in the wider politics of the United States. There was some talk that the Chandra X-ray telescope was going to take a real big hit, and a smaller hit on Hubble. And I think if money for space telescopes is limited, I think people would like to concentrate more on getting the next telescope up, which is the Nancy Grace Roman telescope, and then successor telescopes about that after that, because Hubble is pretty darn old, even with the latest repair mission, now 15 years in the past. And some of the newer telescopes are going to have amazing capabilities. The Nancy Grace Roman telescope will be kind of more of a survey telescope, and they'll be able to cover a lot of real estate that Hubble can't, because it looks at a very small piece of real estate every time it takes a picture. And so anyway, I think that's kind of the way things are going. And just, this is a little outside of astronomy, but I thought I might be distracted in the early part of this meeting, because about a half hour ago, they were supposed to launch a Boeing spacecraft to the space station, but that launch was scrubbed. And of course, there's been plenty of jokes about the hatch falling off of the Boeing spacecraft. It's a very interesting story, because a number of years ago, I forget, 10 years ago, something like that, NASA let contracts to commercial space providers to basically supply their rides up and back from the space station, and 2/3 of the money went to Boeing, and 1/3 of it went to SpaceX. And SpaceX started flying 4 years ago this month, started sending astronauts. And Boeing, which is supposed to be the much more better and experienced company, have yet to get a single astronaut up to the station. And that was supposed to happen starting tonight. So anyway, they had a valve problem, so it'll be in a couple of days. But that launch is a bit more interest than a lot of those things are. So I'll just leave it there.
Thank you so much, Chris. You're a real good window into what's going on with space exploration.
Yeah.
Dave Payne.
All right, just share my screen. We there?
Yeah, give us a moment. You should just be able to drag the whole thing over.
So it's galaxy season, so people are taking images of galaxies, and this is one that I actually looked forward to since last year, and I messed up an image of Bode's galaxy, and so that's what we're looking at here is the area within Bode's galaxy, and it's a tricky thing to image, and I wanted to go all out on it. So the camera was on this through a refractor, was on this scene for a total of 24 hours. So over 3 and a bit nights, we're just taking images of the same place. And it really is an interesting part of the sky because of the galaxies that are there. There's actually a lot of galaxies in there. I'll get rid of these lines and everything. But this middle galaxy is Bode's galaxy itself, M81, and it's pretty archetypal. It's a classic grand design spiral galaxy, and it's got all the components. It's got a bright, massive black hole in the middle with lots of stuff going on, very bright, and very old yellow orange stars going around the middle. And you can actually see dust lanes circling around. And when you go further out from that, you've got less sort of shear on those dust lanes, and the dust and gases can clump up and form stars. And on the outer rings of the galaxy, you see a blue tinge to the arms and the stars, and within those dust lanes, you see these bright red blotches, and those are active star forming areas. So the gas condenses, forms some stars. Then once the stars ignite, they send out UV radiation that energizes the gas dust lanes, the hydrogen, and that emits this red color. So it's very symmetrical and spiral and just a beautiful galaxy. And then in contrast, we've got 2 other galaxies. We've got M82, which is the cigar galaxy, which was probably a fairly well-behaved spiral galaxy at once upon a time. But because of the tidal forces pulling on the gas and the spiral arms from Bode's galaxy, it's actually drawn out a lot of the dust from within the spiral galaxy plane itself. And so this galaxy is taken on a cigar shape, but it also has a mustache made out of that star forming region. So it's got a lot of young stars. It's very blue and bright in the galactic plane, but there's all kinds of new stars being formed in those red areas, and it's called a starburst kind of galaxy because of the amount of star formations, stars that are being formed in it. It's also a lot of supernova that come out of those ones. And then we've got a third type of galaxy over in the bottom right here. And this is, I can't remember what you call it, but it's basically doesn't have very much form. It's a very young
Elliptical.
galaxy. Pardon me? It's
elliptical.
No, elliptical it looks kind of the same, but elliptical is at the other end of age. So all the stars of an elliptical are old, and there's not much of this gas to form stars. This is it's just a mess. It hasn't really formed anything yet. But you can see that there is star formation taking place in that. So overall, there's all sorts of other little tiny galaxies to find. There's one right in the center right there. It's fun to go look at all the different shapes and things. One of the nice things you can do with photographs is you can plate solve it. So what it will do is it will compare the image to a sky survey, and then it knows exactly where the picture is pointed at, and does nice things like labels things for you. All these orange ones are the cataloged galaxies. You'll find galaxies in the image that aren't cataloged yet. You can always go on the internet and look at what it is going on. But just one last character, you say, okay, well, this image looks kind of dirty and dusty. There's no nice black background to it.
Is this one field of view, or have you stitched together a bunch?
This is one field of view with a full frame camera, but I've actually, what I've done to the image is drizzle it. So what it does is it interpolates between pixels in a special characteristic way to create a pixel in the middle, which brings out a little bit of fine detail. So this particular image in JPEG format is 17 gigabytes. So it's a very large, detailed image. But the reason it appears dusty is this isn't actually out in deep space. Well, it is in deep space, but it's not actually out where the galaxies are. It's actually, that dust is actually in the field of view, but just on the outside of the Milky Way. And it is illuminated as a reflection of the stars from the Milky Way that gets reflected back to us. And
so it's light pollution, basically.
Yeah, it's basically Milky Way light pollution. But some people go after it and they bring it out to stand out a lot more than I've done here. And other people say, well, it detracts from the galaxies, so they darken all that dust so it goes away. And I've kind of just done something in the middle here. So if you wanted to have another look at it, it's easily downloadable from the Zenfolio site.
Beautiful. That's beautiful, David.
Thanks. It was a lot of fun doing that one.
Very well explained.
How many arc seconds, David?
Well, each one of these lines is 30 minutes. I think this line to this line is 30 minutes.
So that's the moon size. One square, you could fit the moon nicely inside one of those squares, that means.
There we go.
David, is this the RC or is this the refractor?
This is the refractor, yeah.
Okay.
It's the...
David, your image of M82 is stunning. Your close-up, to see the modeled interior of it. I've never seen that before. It's very well done.
Yeah, yeah. I was well pleased.
Like right there, see that orange stuff? My goodness me, David.
Yeah, thank you.
And the hydrogen jets look just fabulous.
Is that edge on?
Yeah. I think it is edge on. So the bright stuff is are the main stars. And I think you're looking at that edge on. But all
And
that,
there's a little bit of an S curve. There's a bit, right? There's an S curve in there for the main galaxy.
for the main galaxy. Yeah, it's got two.
No, oh, sorry, no, the other one. Sorry, the other one that we were looking at there.
This guy.
The yeah, that one. Like, can you see like it's not as straight, not totally straight.
No.
Like it's got, it curves like an S.
Yeah.
Or integral sign.
Well,
yes, integral sign, yes.
My joke about Andromeda is it looks like it's been in a bit of a car accident because it's kind of bent, right? And that's the pull of its satellite sort of galaxies.
You can actually see that.
You know, messing it up.
So are these interacting?
Yeah, yeah. Definitely at one time they were. Significantly. I'm not sure how strongly they're interacting right now. And we're a member of this same local group of galaxies. And in Zenfolio, there's I did a little bit of a write-up in Zenfolio if you want to know a little bit more.
Did we have that link on the video for that picture?
In the notes, yeah.
Already, my goodness. Joe, it's been taking notes all the way through. It's really impressive. I think that is a spectacular way to end our Astro Cafe. You've been spared another moon talk. We're good for you guys. You had lots to talk about that's more interesting. Just quickly, are there any last announcements? There's going to be our final International Astronomy Day meeting, not this Tuesday because of Nathan's book launch. So it's just going to be 4 days before the event on the 18th. I have some homework to do before that. SIGs? Any SIGs coming up?
Oh yeah, of course the beginner SIG is not on the 7th because Nathan's book launch is on that day. So originally it was going to be the 14th, but it's now going to be the 15th.
Because every other day is busy.
Yes.
That's a good sort of busy.
I actually have one more thing I want to show you. I'd forgotten about it.
Oh, Chris, you get to close off the show then.
Well,
okay,
actually,
I'm going to do a share screen.
Okay, right after Chris, we need Lori and I have to talk about Astronomy Day volunteerism.
Oh no! So let's do that first, and we'll close with Chris.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we still are looking for volunteers and for people to help at the various places. So please make sure that you connect if you're interested. Then connect with some of the people who are the leads, like Bill and David and Alex and Margie and people from the welcome desk, and Jill is here as well. Jill could probably have use some help when she's doing the Stellarium shows. So we've got lots and lots of places for people to be. Kirsten is helping Dorothy and Dave with the quality lighting, and we've got lots of things going on. I still would like to have somebody, if they could, be outside directing traffic a little bit, right, as people are coming up to do some unloading of cars in the morning. I'd have to kind of work maybe between about 8:30 and 10. But if you do that part, then you could go home. So if you wanted to, but I wouldn't mind having somebody that would help with that. So we could do that. Margie, you had your hand up too, talking about volunteers.
Don't forget that there is a list of volunteers from which to choose, and there are still at least 15 or 20 people on that list who have not yet been used. It's on Google Drive.
Assigned.
Yeah. So we could get somebody there. Yeah. Great. Thank you. That was all I had to say.
And David, do you have anything to add?
Nope. Nope. The site manager has spoken.
Okay. Chris.
Okay. This I'm going to show you a rather shocking image that Alan Dyer tweeted a couple of days ago, and I retweeted it.
Wow.
Oh my.
And I think what Alan says there kind of speaks for itself. So yes, I'd forgotten about that until we heard about the Milky Way light pollution, and even without the light pollution down here, we're doing a pretty bad job in that. So I will leave that there.
Well, that was a bit of a downer. Anyway.
Sorry.
You should have ended with us.
Next week, Margie will be host, Ashesh will be tech. So if you have things to present, remember only 2 to go. And then we will start up again in September. And the reason that we take the break, one is to reinvigorate our volunteer base, because it does take a certain amount of energy to put this wonderful Astro Cafe on. But also, the friends of the DAO need our help every week. When does it start being weekly, Laurie?
We have the 18th coming up, and then we have 2 in June. So it's just twice in June, and then starting on the week after July 1st weekend. So is it about the 8th or so? I don't have the dates in front of me, but all the way from the 8th of July all the way through till about the 8th of September, every single night, every single Saturday night is a star party. So we can use all their help. And in fact, they're doing some extra training for the 16-inch telescope. And so to get some people besides Sherry and Reg and Randy to be the people who can use that 16-inch, we're trying to get. Sherry is doing some extra work on that, and we're really upping our game with being open in the summer for summer hours. So if you have time during the week in the summertime to come up and help with showing solar telescopes and putting up a solar telescope, I mean there'll be people all the time up there.
And there's new smart telescopes. And
there's the new Vesperas are up there too. And so if anybody's really interested in learning how to use those, then we've got a whole new raft of things that people can do. So we'd love to have you come up and help. We're looking forward to that.
We're not looking for experts, looking for more enthusiastic.
Exactly.
So anybody is, if you're interested enough to come to Astro Cafe, you are qualified to help out at the Friends summer star parties. And with that, I say good night to everybody. This has been just a fantastic Astro Cafe. Lots of good conversation, lots of interesting information, and I look forward to next week.
And Wednesday night for those who are able.
Good night.
That was fun.